Hey everyone, it is December 17th, 2024, and we are here today with Mr. Albert Well to discuss this week in cybersecurity.
Well, thank you, Dan. Can't wait to see Tom Albert in this meeting with us. He's coming. I swear it. He's coming. He told me he'll be here.
That's going to be exciting. He's a very interesting fellow.
Maybe he needs Rudolph to show him the way. I don't know.
Probably,
All right.
probably.
So let's see. Yeah. So here we go. So this one was out. Well, this is today. CISA, cybersecurity team that is run by the government, and they make recommendations on what you should and shouldn't do. And the FBI raise alerts on exploited flaws and expanded hiatus rat campaign. We talked about a rat before. Do you remember what it is?
I don't remember the rat you were talking about. Being Italian, we know a little bit about rats, but I'm not sure if they're the same.
Well, these rats don't have legs and they work in the internet.
Oh boy.
RAT stands for Remote Access Trojan because
Uh,
they'll sit in wait and listen for a connection request. And it's usually preempted by, hey, I'm here and I'm sitting in wait. Come get me. That message goes out to the attacker that installed it. So CISA, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, added two new flaws. Now notice these aren't nines, they're sevens. But what I really want to show you is, excuse me, as we near the end of the year, these were put out earlier this year, and this first one was patched in Adobe in March, and the second was patched in June with Microsoft. But look at this trailing number here, 20,762. The next one is 32,250. So what I wanted to show was this is the National Vulnerability Database. And I think it's different than the CWE and CVE, but we're going to use this because it's based on the NIST, National Institute of Vulnerability, National Institute of Standards and Technology. This is the vulnerability database. But anyway, this year alone, 38,816 new vulnerabilities. That's a lot.
mm,
Five would be a reasonable number that if you only saw five, you could really manage that, right?
yeah.
So, how is a security team or even an IT team? Let's say you don't have cybersecurity yet. How is an IT team going to manage 38,816 new vulnerabilities in a year?
I don't know, Albert. AI.
No, just no. Oh, hell no. The new CVEs that they actually got to analyze is just over half, 17,420 out of 38,816. That leaves a lot yet to be analyzed, right?
Mm.
So that's the important thing to look at here. CVE status, there's 274,128 in the CVE database. Same number in the NVD,
Very
National
nice.
Vulnerability Database. Now, CVEs are usually what the cybersecurity tools for today use, and they can connect to the database remotely while they're running to get new information.
Mm.
Is it timely? Well, let's just say it's not going to stop a zero-day threat because it's not in the database, right?
Yeah. What's going on here? What's this graph down here?
So this part here warns of targeting web cameras and DVRs, digital video recorders.
Do you think you could target a webcam hypothetically? Do you think that you could access a webcam that was unplugged? For instance, there's Logitech that plugs in via USB-C to my Mac. If it's unplugged, do you think there's any way to still access it? Or no, because there's no battery?
I have two answers for you. Yes and no. Unplugged devices generally are a no. Okay. But we have seen malware jump an air gap between systems. Usually takes some kind of advanced understanding, either using LED lights on status lights on the computer itself, or maybe it's a USB drive that gets connected from one machine to another.
Mm,
Plus,
but it,
if you have the software installed on your machine, even though the device isn't plugged in, it may attach itself to the device after it is plugged in.
mm.
Because we have these things called registries on our devices, on our computers. And the registry gives all kinds of information about what's available on the system and what patch level it is, what device name it is, all kinds of things. So,
Could you use these rats for a keylogger?
yeah, exactly. These
You know,
rats, remote access terminals, allow you direct access into the device.
so then they could do whatever they want, but one of the things they could do is the keylogger.
Yeah, they can install a keylogger. That's like script kiddie stuff.
Because I was thinking about this last night as I couldn't sleep from thinking about all this cyber stuff, and it occurred to me like the keylogger is probably that's probably the one of the scariest attacks, right? Because they see everything. How do you interact with your computer? You use a keyboard, so they're seeing everything that you're putting in.
For a period of time, for whenever that keylogger is active. Now, if it's a 5-minute keylogger and it deletes itself, you get 5 minutes worth of traffic.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you have remote access with a Trojan, you get all of the traffic all of the time.
Right. But the keylogger specifically, because there's some things on your computer, Albert, that aren't going to the internet, right? If I'm typing on my notes on my Mac that's not connected to iCloud, a Trojan that sees all the traffic in and out is not going to bother me. It's going to be the keylogger seeing what I'm typing in my notes.
I think we have a misconception here. If I have remote access to a device, I own the device. I see everything on the device. I see everything that the device is doing and has stored on it and has access to.
Oh, so that's scarier then.
Yeah, it's a bigger threat.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, how do you avoid those things?
Oh, well, it's funny you should ask. So, as part of what I was working on, here's the vulnerability database. And you can see it, right? Can you see my screen?
Mhm.
Okay. These are a small subset of attacks and exploits that go through the internet to get into your environment. So, what we've done, virus scanners and firewalls are only 4% effective. And I'll keep harping on that because people think that they're safe with them, but they're not doing them any great favors. So, what we've come up with is our It's Safe security solution, which protects the environment that IT Security Solutions is inside of and blocks these attacks.
Mm.
They can't, they don't get to talk to your device or the device outside that executed the malware, so they can't get access.
So you're saying that even if you did get remote access script onto my computer, when they're running that, you would be able to detect that traffic with It's Safe.
Yes,
See, that's awesome. That's good to know. That's
that
really
would
good.
interrupt it. Yes,
Yeah, yeah, because you can stop them in their tracks and then eliminate the threat.
that is exactly the design and intent for It's Safe. Yes.
Awesome. I'm glad you had that PowerPoint there.
I try to do some things right. let me find where I was. Here we go. Yeah, so nope, this isn't it.
Okay.
Okay, back to where we were. The next thing I pulled up was deception ads. Delivers 1 million plus daily impressions via 3,000 sites.
Yeah,
So
this is
a lot of people don't understand that these exploits are happening because the attacker and adversary have resources available to them that's more than one computer. They
mm,
have the same capability of going to the cloud and starting up an instance in the cloud legitimately for malicious purposes.
wow.
So when you
Yeah.
get a landing page, what they do is they take that landing page, they modify it to make it malicious so they can get access to you.
Well, even like these side ads that are propagating from some ad system, could those also be malicious?
Absolutely.
Well,
A lot of images allow embedded scripts to happen, and some of them link to hackmenow.com or
Mhm.
another malicious site that downloads Trojans, malware, and other malvertisements into your computer.
Wouldn't want to assume though that, like for instance, Facebook probably has some algorithm or some team that tries to make sure that some of their ads aren't malicious.
Yeah, this is a really good question. When a new ad is being vetted, it's normally looked at and analyzed to see if it's safe or what it's trying to do. But let's say you get to do an update on that ad and you replace the image with a malicious image and they skip the update because it looks the same to them, but they can't see the attack embedded. Could be a
Hmm.
1 pixel trace. Pull up 1 pixel and stay working so that they get access to your computer and they know where you are.
That's a whole nother conversation right there in and of itself.
Yeah, this is why cybersecurity is not a light switch. People
It's an
want
art.
to,
It's an art.
yeah, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay. It's something that you have to adopt in order to get better protections.
Hmm.
Okay, so Iran in the news again. Aren't we lucky? They use IO control malware to target OT, which is operational technology, which are traditional computers and things of that nature that businesses use to do their business. IoT, which is the Internet of Things devices like cameras, ring doorbells, smart TVs, and those kinds of things in the US and Israel.
Mm. Interesting.
Cyber Av- Avengers, Avengers has targeted industrial control systems at water facilities in Ireland and the United States, including a water utility in Pennsylvania. Part of the
Wow.
big problem here is that the national critical infrastructure cannot be taken offline because of its requirement to deliver utilities so that we can live the luxurious lifestyle that we have. These SCADA devices could be tens or 20 years old, and most are not taken offline to do updates. So they
Hmm.
do not have a current operating system on them, which is why we recommend that IoT devices not be connected to the internet, including SCADA control systems.
Mm.
Things that make you go,
I was just looking at this. It was like that switcher thing I was telling you about a couple podcasts ago, like the Switcher Pro, which is like a multi-tool for interacting with wireless technologies like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, etc. But this one was a blocker, and you could literally flip it on a certain mode, and if I walked up in front of your Ring doorbell, all of a sudden it cuts off your Ring doorbell feed.
Yeah, it's doing a DOS attack on the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that stuff's scary.
We've had that for 20 years.
Yeah, yeah.
As a matter of
But
fact, I employed it in my house because one of my kids was doing things that we didn't want them to do. And when I put it on my house, they jumped to a neighbor's Wi-Fi so they could continue doing things. And fortunately, this device had the ability to block activities outside of the network if we know what the device is. So if you have a phone inside your home, you want it to go to your Wi-Fi in your home network so that everything's together and it's all safe.
could you put
But
those things on the outside of your house so people can't ping in wirelessly? Like almost like an Iron Dome, but for wireless signals?
I would just put it on the inside of the house so that you own it and put bigger antennas on it.
Ah, but if you put, wouldn't that disrupt your internal
No,
Wi-Fi though?
no, you tell it what devices are permitted on your network.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. Moral of the story, I would never use wireless cameras in a secure facility, right?
No, they all have to be hardwired.
Yeah, very interesting. All right, so what do we got here? Hackers possibly stole personal data from Bitcoin ATM operator Byte Federal.
Everybody tells me that they want to get into the cryptocurrency or the blockchain or the Bitcoin, but they don't realize how insecure this environment is.
Well, it's key that you pointed out the environment is not secure. It's not necessarily the Bitcoin algorithm, right?
Oh, I can't guarantee that the Bitcoin algorithm is insecure as well because I haven't done an assessment on it.
Well, just speaking out loud here, it's hard for it to be insecure, or not even, we shouldn't even say insecure so much as its original purpose, which was to provide a relatively full chain of what happens on the ledger. If you compare to QuickBooks, I can go into my QuickBooks and delete a transaction. Whereas on the blockchain, the concept is you can't delete that because every computer in the world that is on the blockchain network is storing a copy of the ledger. And even
It's
if the, go ahead,
it's not every computer in the world.
every
Usually
computer,
you have a finite number of blockchain devices, and the fewer the better, depending on the global scale of your project. The problem here isn't that you have multiple devices with the original copy. The problem is how secure is it so that it can't add additional resources to the blockchain, which could take over the voting process inside the blockchain algorithm to change the blockchain code itself.
yeah, that's a whole other thing. And I think they got that the algorithm was from what it was either the one of the two three letters starting with a C or an N. And that's for their whatever, like 256 hash, I think. And that's who came up with it. Is that right?
I don't remember, and I cannot confirm or deny.
All right. So basically, here though, this isn't even about the blockchain. It's about the Bitcoin. I mean, it's
Right.
about the ATM, right?
It's about an ATM that's being operated by Byte Federal.
Yeah, this is like the problem with all technology. It's not sometimes just the person between the seat and the keyboard, right? So in this case, it's not necessarily the blockchain, it's the technology allowing humans to interface with the blockchain that is
So,
insecure.
so here's another gotcha. In the first paragraph, this was discovered on November 18th. The hack occurred after threat actors exploited a vulnerability in the GitLab
Open source.
Collaboration platform to access one of its servers. Open source, yes. Why do you think people jump to work on open source technology?
There's a lot of reasons. For
Well,
me,
let's say it's not for experience and promoting goodwill.
all right, you cut off my two rebuttals, Albert.
It's because people want to use free software, but you get the value of what you pay for. If you don't pay for it and the software is free, you can't determine the value it's going to deliver or the exploits.
I
Open source
mean,
software does not validate who's working on the code. So anyone can jump onto the code and you don't know who it is. It could
right.
be those North Korean IT workers that are sending money back to North Korea so they can build their missiles.
Hey, do you think this is a side note, Albert, but do you think that the people in North Korea say the same thing about us?
Yes,
Yeah.
but it's not the people so much as their government.
Right. So how could they have solved this so that they didn't get the ATMs didn't get breached? Do you think it's the maybe it's the electronics and or so it's the open source. It's the open source was the
Yeah, it's
problem.
on GitHub through a GitLab collaboration platform. If you want to make software available in your organization, don't use an open internet capable environment. Use something that you have control over that you contain in house.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Well, that sucks. I hope nobody lost a lot of Bitcoin, like that guy in DC that lost 230 million.
Yeah, I hope so too.
All right, this is a good one. This is a good topic right here. We got
Yeah,
Google's
here we
Willow.
go. So
Where's
everybody says,
Sundar when you need him?
well, yeah, everyone wants to know what's going to happen with quantum computing, right?
Yeah.
So quantum computing, let's just take their first paragraph. Forget the 10 septillion years needed for a classical computer to solve this problem and focus instead on the following number of necessary error correction qubits. What classical computing cannot break for cybersecurity, quantum computing can do in seconds.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Do you understand the concept of the superposition?
Yes, and the infinite number of possibilities for a value between 0 and 1.
Yep. Yeah, and it's very interesting. It's almost like the rat in a way because those ones and zeros that are sitting in that superposition at random until the compute happens, from what I understand, right?
Yeah. And they're saying that it would take a supercomputer 10,000 years to solve it and in around 200 seconds for a quantum computer. Willow shows remarkable improvement in just 5 years. Now,
Yeah, it's
add quantum to AI.
yeah, it's the singularity, really, is what it is. Um, yeah, the point at which technology surpasses man and man technology
Especially if we
doesn't.
let it go unchecked
Yeah, up until the point that it can replicate itself. That's the point of no return, in my opinion.
or has unfeathered control of the environment it's in.
That could be one, but I'm talking more so about when you take quantum, you take Willow, you put that in a Tesla bot, and then Tesla bots can build more Tesla bots without the need for humans telling them to do that. At that point, then we have a real problem because we can't pull the plug on that. Yeah, it's scary. Mobile surveillance tool, Eagle message spy used by Chinese law enforcement. What's that? Chinese law enforcement. I'll read this one.
Go ahead.
Chinese law enforcement has been using a lawful surveillance tool to collect extensive data from Android devices, cybersecurity firm Lookout reports.
That's a cool name. Look out.
Yeah.
I call Outlook. Look out.
Oh yeah. This sounds a lot like advertising data too, right? Like they're using it's the same concept here. Am I missing something?
No. Well, so this is spyware that gets installed on your device. And they say, we believe that this is the only distribution mechanism, and neither the installer nor the payload have been observed on Google Play or other app stores. Spyware consists of an installer, which is likely executed by law enforcement officers with access to an unlocked device, and a headless surveillance module that runs in the device and collects sensitive information. I know some time ago we were talking about the encryption on Apple devices being too strong for the FBI. And I don't
Yeah.
believe that anymore to be true because I have learned other tools are being used to get access to any device, whether it's Android or Apple.
Well, you're aware of Pegasus, right?
Yes,
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like we always say, Albert, as long as you don't have nothing to hide, you don't have anything to worry about. And if you do have something to hide, then yeah, you probably do have something to worry about.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. But when do you think that change occurred from when? Because I think there was a big story, what, 5, 10, somewhere between 5 and 7 years ago about FBI and Apple. It might have been some terrorist or something. They had his phone, but Apple wouldn't unlock. Maybe it was a school shooter or something, right?
Yeah, it was a school shooter situation. I have a friend that was in DC area. He was doing these kinds of school shooter situations and contacting law enforcement about who it was and where they were engaging. And sometimes he was ahead of the law enforcement calls about the event itself because he would see it on social media first.
And so that was when Apple wouldn't bypass all the stuff, right?
Yeah, I think that was marketing more than anything
I
because
would,
they had this capability since cell phones were installed.
yeah, but it's probably how many people on Earth do you think have that capability?
A lot?
You think?
Yes.
What, a couple thousand?
More than that?
There's that many hackers in the world?
Well, let's say that they're not all hackers.
What else would they be?
They might be carriers for the signals. So the network, the cell network that was installed for people to get access to, connects to all the devices, right?
Yeah.
And there are codes that go through the cell networks that can unlock a phone anywhere in the world.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that #21# that you dial into your phone?
Yes, that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
And they get root level access to the core of the phone. They bypass anything that could have been there, like a firewall, which probably speaks to why there aren't firewalls on devices.
yeah. 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 This is a rabbit hole.
And I don't want to go down this any further.
Yeah, me neither. Maybe over a cup of tea without any
Okay.
electronics around.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this one I reported on LinkedIn as well, and I've been told that it has been fixed, but a bypass on MFA on Microsoft with the Authquake attack. This one was from last week, December 12th.
mm, mm. MFAs, yeah, I think about that often. Well, I've told you about some of my MFA tools. Particularly one that scares me is with the text codes for your only form of MFA with eSIMs, right? With an eSIM, That's not really that secure. But from
Right.
what you were telling us last week, even the physical SIM cards are, since they're a computer, right? They're not as secure either.
Well, there's nothing blocking the communication coming in. There's no filter on it.
With the eSIM or both?
I'm not sure about the eSIM.
The eSIM is
I
more concerning because at least with the physical SIM card, other than Verizon getting hacked and allowing another SIM card to represent your phone number, with an eSIM,
anybody
somebody
can represent. Yeah.
exactly. That's why it's scary.
Well, I was thinking conversely, going back to the silent SMS messages, not having any filter on these SIM cards permits these messages from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, yeah. That the silent SMS is a very scary concept. Is very scary. Maybe we'll make a lab someday. We can change this podcast to
I have plans, Dan.
What's that one show on Discovery where they Mythbusters?
Yeah, Mythbusters. So I
We
have
could
plans to use it safe to analyze whether or not devices are secure, including, like, for instance, the Samsung TV we installed in our house. That when we turned it on, I found a crypto coin miner on it.
how genius is that? Obviously, it's bad, but it's pretty
It's
genius
real
to say,
bad.
hey,
I didn't invite them in.
we're gonna
What
sell
the
you this
hell?
we're gonna sell you this TV, and we're gonna use your power to make money.
Exactly. Oh,
Yeah.
and by the way, now we have a back door into your network.
Yeah. Next week's gonna be crazy once TA joins.
TA, yet to be disclosed.
Yeah. Well, you disclosed him at the beginning, but anyways, I have a 140 coming up. Thanks for everyone that listens to this or a clip of it. And thank you, Albert, as always. And we will talk next week.
Perfect.
Signing out.
See you,
Ciao.
Dan. Bye for now.